When you experience so much pain and so much failure, you actually forget about how hard it was. And you forget about a lot of the challenges that you went through.
Mr. Moe Falah, CEO, founder, and visionary of Better Life Financial Group, had a bunch of accomplishments in his past, experiences as an entrepreneur, having a private equity buyout, multiple eight-figure exit, built an organization with over 150 people.
The only way to get rich in life is through sales. The world of sales never appeared difficult for me. Sales was always easy for me. My best skill when it comes to sales is like never accepting maybe. I would rather get a no than get a maybe. I don't sit around in indecision. Only place for emotion in business is in celebration. You can't be listening to your feelings, how you're thinking about this person or how they're gonna feel or this or this. You have to operate from a place of logic because the business doesn't give a shit.
Welcome, guys, to another episode of Legacy and Billions. It's been quite some time since our last episode, actually, but today we are coming back with a powerful show and episode with a special guest, Mr. Moe Falah. He is the CEO, founder, and visionary of Better Life Financial Group, and he's also had a bunch of accomplishments in his past, experiences as an entrepreneur, ranking the 44th fastest growing company rated by Inc. magazine. In 2022, having a private equity buyout, multiple eight-figure exit, built an organization with over 150 people, and he's a great friend of mine. So, Moe, welcome to the show today, man.
Thanks
welcome
for
to
having me,
Legacy and Billions. Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Good to have you, man. So for the people that don't know your background and you know, in order to make any assumptions on your past, did you come from money? Like how did you get started in this entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, so we were broke. My entire family was broke. We were getting government checks from Canada, so our family was on welfare. But I never knew that we were poor. Never came to my attention that was like a thing. Never knew that like we were poor or anything like that because I always had what I needed. Like my family always made sure that like I was taken care of. Like I wasn't hungry. When I needed anything, whether it was like stuff for school or like anything extracurricular, like I had what I needed, but I never had what I wanted. And there came a point where I was like asking my father for certain things, and he would say no, and I'd be like, oh well, why not? And the common answer was, we don't have the money for that. And that's when I started to really be curious about this whole entire world of money. And I would just ask him okay, well, why can't you just get more money? And he's like, oh, it doesn't work that way. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. Like if other people have really nice things, why can't we just go get more money if that's the thing that we need? And a lot of people, you have to be really careful about who you get your information from, because some people could have just taken that and been like, oh, okay, cool, that's my belief system right now, right? And then they adopt that belief system and they're like, okay, you can't just go get more money. But for myself, I questioned that belief. And it was very young, probably 12, 13 years old, and I questioned that belief, which is something that I do a lot, is I question a lot of things on how certain people think. And so no, we never came from money, never came from anything like that, but I always wanted more.
Got it. And did you actually achieve a college education? Did you go to college or were you self-educated?
Yeah, so I went to college. I had a full ride scholarship. So my father was a professor, academic, so my entire tuition was paid for. I went for a little bit over 2 years, and I was in class one time with an English professor, and he mentioned how you're going to get out of here, you're going to get a job. You're gonna, once you graduate, you're gonna get a job. You're gonna, earn, 60 to 80K. And I was like, is this what I'm doing this for? Am I going to college to make 60 to 80K? And literally, that was the last time that I showed up to class. I was 2.5 to 3 years in. And after hearing that comment, it was immediately this is not for me. And that was the last time that I went to class.
So in that moment, something clicked for you. Mm-hmm. What was that, and what did that lead you to do next?
Well, I was already selling at that point. I was selling product. I was in direct sales. I was I was a flipper. Anything I could get my hands on and I could flip, I was doing it. I was already had acquired my first property at that point in time. I was on the way to flipping and having a pretty big exit from that sale of that property. And I was already making more than the 60 to 80K that he was talking about. And I was 20 years old or something like that. And that was the kind of the clicking point where it was I'm in this place to learn how to make 60 to 80K, or like not really learn, but like have some degree that lets me go make that. But I don't have it, and I'm already making more than that. And so it didn't align. And at that point, that was when I was like, okay, cool. Like, this is not my place.
Got it. And so you were hustling, doing a couple side hustles, making money, flipping stuff, making more money than what the professors were probably making. And then something clicked and you said, listen, this is not the way that I want to live my life. There's a better way.
For sure.
And so what led you into actually starting a company in a business?
Yeah, well, I didn't start my first company until I was 24 years old. So there was like a 4 to 5 year gap where I was just like selling. Like anything I could get my hands on, I was selling. Anyone that had a product or an offer, I was selling it. I was doing, door to door. I was doing over the phone. I was doing internet, windows, HVAC, roofing, water filtration systems, anything. And I was just learning the skill of sales. Because I had a mentor that I met when I was 21 years old. And he was probably like 26, 27 at the time. And he had kind of like the ideal life that like I envisioned. Or, he was probably, I think he was like 27. And he lived in a penthouse in Toronto, white Audi R8, white G-Wagon, like smoking hot girlfriend. And I was like, shit. And he travels everywhere. I'm like, man, like this guy's 27 years old and he's super rich. And like this guy knows something. And I met him, like I knew him from, because he was a friend of my brother's. So I knew of him, but I didn't really like know much of him. And then we met one time and we started talking. I'm asking him questions. I'm curious. And he says to me, he's like, I like you. Let me tell you something, because I'm asking him a lot of questions about getting rich. And he said to me, the only way to get rich in life is through sales. That's easy. The only way to get rich in life is through sales. He said, if you come and move to Toronto, because I was living in Ohio at the time, if you come and move to Toronto, I'll take you under my wing. I'll teach you all things that I know about sales, and I'll help you make money. And I was like, all right, done. And 2 weeks later, I moved to Toronto, working under him, and he was showing me the ropes, showing me exactly how to sell, and started making really good money.
Talk about burning the boats. Most people don't have a level of commitment like that. And like Grant Cardone teaches us, it's like commit first, figure the rest out later. And that's exactly what you did. And you started your career in sales. You learned that skill. And what were some of the challenges that you were having as you were developing yourself as a professional in sales? There's
this thing called failure amnesia. When you experience so much pain and so much failure, you actually forget about how hard it was. And you forget about a lot of the challenges that you went through. And so like, if I, just being totally blunt with you, to say that like I have recollection of the challenges that I experienced then, I'd be lying to you, because I probably went through a lot of difficult stuff, but I probably subconsciously chose to forget the pain.
Yeah.
In order to protect myself and protect who I am. It never really, like, the world of sales never appeared difficult for me. Sales was always easy for me. You connect with a person, you get to know who they are, you ask questions about, their current situation, find out what problems they're currently experiencing, ask them if they want to have solutions to that problem. If they say yes, be like, okay, cool, these are the solutions, this is how you do it. Are you ready to get started? And like it's quite simple. And then it's a numbers game too. It's like, and some people are gonna say no. I think my best skill when it comes to sales is like never accepting maybe. Like I would rather get a no than get a maybe. Like I will push the deal all the way to no, and I'll feel good about myself. But the times where I don't feel good about myself is when I get to the end of the call and they need to think about it. They need to talk to somebody. They need to, they need to think on it, whatever it is. I never accepted that as an answer. It was always like, take me to no. And I would push and push and push and push until they told me no. And once they said like, no, I'm not doing the deal, like this is it, I'd be like, okay, great, cool. And then I'd go on to the next one, but I'd never get stuck in maybe.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what makes me like really decisive today as a business owner, as a CEO, is like, I don't sit around in indecision. Like, me, you've been working with me for like 8-9 months now. like we move really, really fast. We have thoughts and we're like, cool, get into action right away. We don't really think about stuff much. We just like, we have a little bit of information. It's like, cool, let's move. Let's get to execution. And I think that skill set that I had in like not taking maybe, because maybe is just like, all maybe is let's add time to this equation.
Yeah, procrastination.
That's all it is. If maybe equals let's add time to this equation. And like, why are we adding time to this? We don't have time. Like we got to move with urgency. And so that skill probably translates to where I'm at today with like how fast we move in business.
Yeah, 100%. One of the strong character traits that you have is your decisiveness. I admire that quality a ton as a leader because that's what leaders do. They make decisions on behalf of indecisive people. And so you do such a phenomenal job of doing that. So I'm curious, like what was one of the most painful moments that actually shaped you as a leader?
One of the emotions that is really difficult to overcome, and whether it's business or it's relationships, is treason. Like treason is a hard emotion to overcome, and that could be like a spouse or a partner, cheating on you, or it could be a business partner, stabbing you in the back and going and ripping your people and ripping your company and replicating that. It's treason, right? Especially when you give so much love and so much
Breach
care.
of
And
trust, yeah.
Of course, yeah, it's breach of trust. Breach of trust is like one of the hardest emotions to overcome. So I had this guy who I was in business with, and he started the company with me. He was there from day one, and I gave him a good offer when we started the business. And the offer was, look, you can have equity in this company, and like this was day one. I'm like, you can have equity in this company, or you can get override. So like you get, revenue share. So for every single sale that comes into the business, you can get a little cut. One is obviously much riskier. You take the equity play; it's a much riskier play. There's no payout that occurs unless eventually you get into dividends or you pull out or you sell the company. So it's a much riskier play. Override is like day one you can start receiving cash flow. He picked the override. He didn't pick the equity, and then I blew Simple Solar fucking to the moon. And, when you blow a company up that big, there sometimes comes regret, like, fuck, I made the wrong choice. And then it basically became a situation of like I need equity, otherwise this isn't going to work, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But the company now is much more valuable than when it was on day one. So at this point, if you want equity, you're either going to have to give up your override and whatever you would be earning that has to buy in your equity, or you just have to buy into the equity today. And I'll give you a great deal and you can be a partner. And he was not happy with that. And I knew this guy was like a bad fit for the organization anyways. He wasn't compliant. He wasn't, following any of the protocols or policies that we put out. He had like God complex, thinking that he's, the greatest gift, that touched the earth. And I was with Tim Grover. You know Tim Grover, right? I was with Tim Grover. And I talked to him about this guy. And Tim says, he's like, the problem that you're having is you're thinking with this. And Tim's a tough dude, so it hurts.
When you poked, he penetrated.
It penetrated. It hurt. Like I physically felt. He's like, the problem is you're thinking with this. You're not thinking with this. He's like, you know what you need to do? You need to go back home and you need to part ways with this guy. Went back home, started to have the conversation, but I didn't have the emotional leadership, and I didn't have the leadership in myself at all to sever the relationship. And I let my emotions get in the way because we'd known each other since high school. He was there with me when we started the company, but he was an asset that turned into a liability. And I allowed the liability to stay on the balance sheet. And then that liability ended up coming and ripping a huge part of the company, cutting our revenues by 50%. And it was a big lesson that I learned. And now I learn it. Now I hear it from Brandon Dawson, where he says the only place for emotion in business is in celebration. Like you can't be listening to your feelings or like how you're thinking about this person or how they're gonna feel or this or this. You have to operate from a place of logic because the business doesn't give a shit about what you feel.
What I've noticed from some of the most successful CEOs, champions, athletes, they're able to compartmentalize their emotions and put them to the side to make logical, factual decisions. And you do such an outstanding job of doing that. You mentioned about emotional leadership. How can an aspiring leader or current leader master their emotions to more effectively make better decisions, guide their people and grow as a leader? Because you do that very well.
Yeah, I think you need to heal your traumas. People respond and react because they've got traumas and they've never actually handled them. So you need to get to the root of your traumas, and you need to go and have some like internal spiritual healing. Once you have some internal spiritual healing, whether that's, prayer and getting close through God, whether that's through, some other practice, whatever it is, like you need to go and heal your traumas, because the only time that people are emotionally unstable is because they're carrying all of these reactive moments that they've built up since they were 5 years old. And then they become somebody who's not really them. And who's really them is the 5-year-old version of them who's free in spirit and is happy and doesn't have emotional outbursts and create, you got to go back to healing who you have become so you can go back to who you are.
I love that. That's so powerful, right? Connecting to the inner child, which in essence was spiritually perfect.
That's right.
Fearless, fascinated by life, curious, wanting to learn, not afraid of failure. So the person that you are now today, how is it different from that person that you were when you first started with Simple, transforming your identity and your leadership? Can you point like who used to be, who you are now?
Yeah, I wasn't the person who I am today by any means. I was a weak leader at the time, but I was strong in my vision. So I was strong in my vision of where we were going, but I was weak in not having standards in my business. We always shot for high performance, and we did well when it came to getting people to perform at a high standard. But like we tolerated so much. My tolerance for bullshit went from here.
I don't know that guy.
Yeah, I
doesn't exist.
I tolerated a lot of bullshit. Like you respect me as a leader, which is why you work with Better Life. You would not have come and worked for Simple Solar. You would not. You wouldn't have respected me as a leader.
So for somebody that wants to become a better leader, how do they increase their standards? How do they hold people accountable? What did you find worked exceptional for you?
Well, the first thing, you got to work on yourself. You got to become better. So first thing is me. Before you can do anything to anyone else, you got to handle this. So figure out this and figure out who you are. Stick to the commitments that you set for yourself. Follow through on all the things that you say you're going to do. When you deliver a communication to someone that you say you're going to do something, ensure that you follow through and you execute. The execution may not be perfect, but at least hold true to your word. And that's not just to the people that you speak with, but hold true to the word for yourself. You want to be 100% honest and true for yourself. And that could be anything. That could be the time that you wake up, when the diet that you're on, the relationship that you're in, the friends that you have, the meetings that you say you're going to go to, just follow through on that. Next thing I say is get surrounded by some badasses. You want to get surrounded by really, really great people, because if you're surrounded by people who are super successful and who are in the place that you want to be, once you start, acting on your bullshit, they're going to call you out, and you're going to be like, damn, they're calling me out on this. There's probably a reason why they're calling me out on this. If they're in a better and higher status than where I'm at, I need to step my game up so that I can become more like them. Surrounding yourself with great people is one of the most underrated. There's the thing, the 5 people you surround yourself with is who you become. But what that does to your standards of living is the thing that's not talked about. It's not just you become them because, you start thinking similarly to them. It's you become them because you can no longer continue to act the old way by having low standards and also become a new person. So they help you raise your standards. That's really what it boils down to.
So what I took is taking ownership, responsibility, self-accountability, environment, having the right circle of influence around you that's going to uplift your standard and hold you accountable to that standard.
I give you a third. Just learn from great people. Study leadership. Study the greatest. Study the greatest leaders. Go back and study them and study what they did.
Amazing. And so you being in a leadership position and have managed other leaders and built other leaders in your career, what would you say is the reason why most salespeople quit? Why do people suck at sales? Because you've done an exceptional job of working with many. Yeah,
look, people suck at sales, one, because they're not trained. That's the easiest thing. If someone isn't trained, then they're going to suck at sales. And training isn't just What's the script? How do you handle this objection? Training is an attitude. Training is your mindset. Training is how you communicate. Training is how you deliver a message. Training is how you greet someone. Training is how you receive a communication, how you acknowledge it, how you handle the origination, how you respond back to it, how you can like training is not just like following a script and then doing some role play. Training is far more extensive than that. So one, people aren't trained. Two, they underestimate how much training they actually need in order to be successful. Three, they underestimate how much effort is actually required to be able to hit the goal. Four, the goal isn't big enough. And when the goal is not big enough, you're going to allow excuses to get in the way. If you think of somebody who wants to become a championship boxer, let's say, do you think that they're going to let girls get in their way and be a distraction for them? Do you think they're going to let, their friends from high school tell them, oh, you should stop doing that? Do you think they're going to let it's a huge goal to become a championship boxer, right? So you have a huge goal, and when the goal is big enough, you say no to everything that gets in the way from you actually accomplishing that. The next thing is that you think that you're going to be able to accomplish that in a faster timeline than what it actually takes. And that's why you see most people live the same 6 months over and over and over and over again, where try something, I think it's going to be great. This is the next best thing. They actually start to experience some pain and some resistance. They're not as good as they thought they were. This is too hard. Oh, there's something else that looks easier. Let me go try that. Loop, 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 and then they die. Versus like knowing like what it actually takes to actually win.
That's absolute money. That's absolute gold. If I had another question that I wanted to ask you about, what belief system or mental framework do you operate from that most people just don't understand? Because you're a disruptive guy. Mm-hmm. So kind of walks through that thought process.
Yeah, like really. I was doing some training today, and I was boxing, and the guy actually I got a free session today because he kept on asking me questions, like mentorship questions, and I interrupted him. Like it was like we were like 15 minutes in the workout.
Just train me, bro, and I'll train you.
But like we were 15 minutes in the workout, and I'm like, I just stopped him for a second. I like took my gloves off. I was like, bro, are you training me or am I training you? This is a fucking tough dude. This guy beat my ass. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, you're right. He's like, all right, man, this session's on me. This session's on me. You don't have to pay for this. And so he was asking me about it, but the thing is that he was asking me about mental toughness and like how do you just like have the mental toughness to keep going? And I told him like, really what it is for me is like when I set a goal on something that I'm going to do, I just don't give up. I just never stop. I have this engine in me that can just keep going forever. No matter what happens, no matter how many times I get punched in the face, no matter how many times I fail, no matter how many times I do the wrong thing, no matter how many times people leave me, no matter how many times people throw dirt on my name, no matter how much anything, I just don't stop. I don't know how to stop. Actually, I do know how to stop, but
it's not in you to.
No, like stopping is depressing. Like creating is energizing. Building is energizing. I get depressed when I stop. And like, I don't like to feel depressed. So I'm just going to continue to do the thing that energizes me, which is continue to go. And my goal is so big because I have such huge goals. Even I have goals so big that my mentors, like big mentors who have sold their businesses for hundreds of millions, told me to get realistic. So
that's incredible.
So when when you have your mentors who've built hundreds of millions of dollars and done billions of dollars in transactions tell you to get realistic, your goal is big.
100%. And one of those things that you carry from what I found of speaking to top entrepreneurs and being around big leaders is that they have a high level of belief. And you carry that with you and you're able to cast that everywhere that you go. How important is that when your circumstances aren't at that vision where you want it to be? How do you carry that belief that's like, I'm not going to quit?
Well, it's very simple. Like you've survived everything that you've ever experienced in your life, correct?
Yep.
Like you're alive, right? Mm-hmm. You haven't died?
Nope.
No? Okay, cool. So you can get through anything. Like nothing has killed you yet. Like is business going to kill you? There's this quote, and it says that, like, until death, all failure is psychological. It's just, there's no such thing as failure. There's literally no such thing as failure. And quitting is equals death when you're on the pursuit of a goal. And I'm just, like, not willing to die.
I love that. And I think that quote is defeat, but I may be wrong.
It could be.
It's a defeat, but yeah,
Progress over perfection.
Yeah, I love that. You do such a good job of the improvisation. Which brings me to another topic that I want to discuss with you is after, having an exit, getting bought out by private equity, making tens of millions of dollars, pretty much you made it. You're retired. You don't have to work. You actually started to travel and you decided to live your life. And when you weren't building something, you realized that you actually did get depressed. And then that led you into, the next phase of your life to fulfill that vision that you have, in where we are today with Better Life. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So during my last build out with Simple Solar, all I focused on was like the business and I neglected everything else. Like I just gave total neglect to every other dynamic in my life. Didn't care about my health, didn't really care about my relationships, didn't care about family, didn't care about my relationship with God, didn't care about anything at all.
And looking back now, what would you do differently as well? Is it a requirement to do that when you want to build something, or is that you did the best that you could with the information that you had at that time?
It was the best that I could do with the information that I had at the time. It was like all of that can wait, and I can have that after I become successful. That was the framework that I had. The framework was like, after I become successful, then I'll get healthy. Then I'll start having
have to be.
Yeah, it was have do be, right? It was have do be rather than be do have. And then, I got it, I sold the company, I exited, I stepped out of the company. And then I just like got really damn healthy. And then I got way closer to God. And then I just started like studying more, educating myself more, doing things that were for me, picking up new hobbies, trying new things. Like I just started going and living rather than existing. And I found so much joy in doing all of that. And I felt pretty silly because I wasted the last 3 to 4 years prior to that not doing any of that, when ultimately like I wasn't like super, super happy just making a shit ton of money. I was making $250,000 plus a month in profit every single month. So like it's a pretty decent income for a 26-year-old kid. But I wasn't like super happy at all. I was out of shape. I was just like, things just weren't good. And then like after I sold the company, the cash flow stops coming in, but I was like way damn happier, just like taking care of myself and doing things for me. And then when I was like, it was time to like get started again and build something else, I wanted to do it different this time. And I wanted to ensure that like I can take what I learned from everything that I had in the past and historically, and then apply it into Better Life, which is where the name of the company comes from. It's like helping other people actually live better lives. So it's not just like, because it's a cool name to work for Better Life Financial Group, but it's when you work with the organization, your life becomes better. We probably have had like 30 plus people on the company stop smoking weed. We probably had at least 50 people in the company quit drinking. Several people got off drugs. It's just like, it's not like we're a rehab company or anything like that. It's not like, but like, it's who you're surrounding yourself with. Like I told you earlier, right? It's the effect. Like your standards go up, people call you out on your bullshit. You stop doing that, you start rising, and then your life becomes better. So yeah, it was like taking everything that I had learned after I sold the company, being like, wow, this stuff makes me feel amazing. And now implementing it in and with the company. And I mean, our growth is just remarkable since we've started.
And with where Better Life is now, is it what you envisioned, or is it even better?
It's what I envisioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Powerful.
I knew we would be as good as we are.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And Better Life is truly a testament to bettering people's lives in every single area, which is what I love about being a part of this company. So for the people that don't know, like why Medicare? Like, how did you even come across this hidden gold mine?
Yeah. So Medicare is literally America's best kept secret in sales. It's the most underexposed industry, undersaturated industry that is in America, where somebody can build compounding residual wealth. How I found it was I was looking, right? Like I was in search. A person who's intentional, you know Ed Milet, how he talks about the RAS. You're familiar with the RAS,
The reticular
right?
activating system.
That's right, the reticular activating system. When you have something in your frame of focus that you that you are looking for, you start to see it more, right? Like when you're intentional about if you're intentional about going out and finding a blonde, right? You're going to go out and you're going to see blondes everywhere. If you're intentional about going and seeing a red car, you're going to see red cars everywhere.
Facts.
I was intentional about finding the perfect company to build. And I took a look at what I hated from my previous industry and all the things that I felt were wrong about it, not only myself, but what the salespeople felt were wrong. And then I took a look at a bunch of other industries, and I was like, okay, I don't want that, I don't want that, I don't want that, I don't want that. This opportunity needs this. And I came up with about like 19 different items, and I had them all written down on what this opportunity needed to have. And then I just started like looking. And, when you're looking, you'll pick up every single rock and look under it to see, is what I'm looking under here. So I was really, really intentional about what it was that I wanted to find. And then I ran into this kid. His name was Ryan. And I was like, oh, yeah, what do you, we're just getting to know each other. What do you do? He's like, oh, I do Medicare. I'm like, what's that? I had no idea what Medicare was. I thought it was like medical devices or something like that, selling some hospital shit. He explains to me what Medicare is. I'm like, well, how does the money work? How does the revenue work? Actually, no, I met this kid named Alec. And Alec worked for Ryan. And Alec tried to explain to me how the money works. And I was like, dude, this is so confusing. Like, I'm not interested in this. It was way too confusing. He just did a poor job of explaining how Medicare worked. And then I met Ryan, and then Ryan explained it to me. I'm like, okay, this makes more sense. He was just a better explainer. Never confuse your customer. If you confuse a customer,
minds don't buy.
Yeah, a confused mind always leads to failure. So he explained it the right way. I wasn't confused, and I was like, what? It's like, no way. I ended up spending like weeks and weeks and weeks on calls with him and his team. They're just showing me like all the ins and outs. Sent it to my attorneys, sent it to my family office, had them like go deep dive into Medicare, spent months looking at it. And they ended up determining, they gave me basically like a pros and cons list of like why you should do it, why you shouldn't do it. And there were some cons, but the pros far, far outweighed the cons. And so I was like, okay, let's jump into this. Why Medicare? Medicare is a government-backed program. It doesn't cost the consumer anything to enroll because they've been paying into it their whole entire lives through their taxes. They become eligible for it when they turn 65. So it's basically a piggy bank that's stored up. And when you turn 65, you can access that piggy bank and pull out your free health insurance. There's residual income on every single sale. So you can make a sale today, and so long as the customer stays on the books, you can still be collecting commissions from them 6-7 years from now. So you're not in this constant hamster wheel of having to chase and hunt the next commission. So this business is not meant for those who want instant gratification. They're chasing the short term. This is someone who can push their wealth into the future and push you can still make a good income in your first year. Not saying you can't do that, but those that can really think in the long term and can think in the idea of compounding their wealth, this is an absolute gold mine for anyone that wants to get into it. 70 million Americans are currently on Medicare, and most of them are on the wrong plan, and they need to switch, and you can become the agent of record. So your addressable market is huge, and 16,000 people a day are turning 65 today, and that number keeps growing up as the boomer generation is now starting to turn 65 and older. So just the opportunity as a whole is great. The technology has now advanced to a point. The marketing has advanced to a point. The regulations have decreased in the space that allow us to target and have people call us. We're dealing with all inbound, so you're not having to go through the endless cold calling of lists of 100 names, getting rejected, having doors slammed in your face. It is just by far the greatest opportunity in America for somebody to really, really build wealth for themselves.
Yeah, and being a part of Better Life I like to say, is the best opportunity in the planet because it provides people that have been in sales 3 streams of income instead of just collecting a commission and having to constantly be on that hamster wheel of chasing the next paycheck and then starting over at the beginning of the first of the month and prospecting and calling and like doubling down your efforts just to make the same, maybe a little bit more. But with Medicare, we have the opportunity to get the instant commissions, to build residual income, which means monthly paychecks coming to us. And then, when we lead and mentor other people and we build a team, we're able to have overrides. So it's like 3 streams of income in one vehicle. There's no other place on earth that's able to provide that.
No, not at all. And the cool thing is like if you make $100K this year and you do the same exact efforts next year, you're going to make $200K the next year. because the money compounds. It's just like, and maybe somebody, maybe like, let's say you have like just an average performer, like, average, sub-average performer. Let's say that they make like $60,000 in a year. It's not like something to go laugh to the bank about. And this is just like some typical, normal agent, probably lowest performer. It's not something to go laugh to the bank about. But that person, if they work inside of the business for 3 years, they've got $150,000 worth of cash flow coming in every single year, plus the active income that they're making. So they're putting active income efforts towards building a passive income machine. It's a perpetual residual override machine.
100%. And for people that, are hearing about this opportunity, they're hearing about better life, like what would you advise for them? I believe like there's 2 different routes people can go within the opportunity. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so Better Life has now built and systemized all of our processes, from the contracting team, onboarding team, compliance team, sales training team, sales ops, recruiting. We've basically systemized every single department in the company. And we've gotten to a point where we're now actually helping other people build agencies inside of the Medicare space, utilizing our infrastructure, our framework, our guidelines, our systems, our mentorship, and our team. So we just launched a program called Residual Empires. And you can go to residualempires.com to go to a free training that I run where I explain all things Medicare. And through that, a person is able to fast track their success into building an agency utilizing all of the resources that we at Better Life have. So myself, I went out to try and figure it out. It took me over a year worth of my time of doing the right research, finding the right people, establishing the right relationships. I've lost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on mistakes, on bad deals, on bad technology, on bad leads, on not having the right tools and systems in place. So I've spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in over a year of my time trying to figure it out myself, because there's nobody in the space that offers what we're now offering. A completely done for you or done with you program that can fast track your success and get you jump started into building your Medicare agency, so somebody can get the same results of building and launching an agency within 2 to 3 months rather than 12 to 15 months. So we just accelerate and fast track somebody's success in building a Medicare agency, just like Better Life.
And the beautiful thing is that we have the results already to speak for itself. We are the fastest growing Medicare company in history of Medicare. We've acquired, over 15,000 customers.
We're at 25,000 now.
25,000. I was going to say last 90 days, but yeah, we have 25,000 customers acquired. And then how many agents do we actually have now?
I think we're around like 170 agents.
Active agents?
Yeah, I think about 170 active agents right now.
And so like we've been able to do that in a span of 5 months of being in business?
Yeah, we're 5 months and 8 days now.
So
5 months and 8 days, 25,000 customers.
So the Residual Empire is designed for an entrepreneur, agency owner. Maybe they were in life insurance. Maybe they were running a different type of business, but it took a hit. The industry shifted. It's a different, complications that they're having now. They say, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur CEO. This would be the opportunity where they can build their own agency and get the counseling, mentorship, guidance, tools, technology, and pretty much everything that they need, the blueprint, right?
The Better Life
in order
blueprint.
to just start a successful and profitable business.
That's right.
That's powerful. And then the other side, which is more so like being a part of Better Life, being a part of the company and the culture. Talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, so we have a pretty awesome onboarding process on how we can help bring somebody from absolutely knowing nothing, get them through the entire process, come and work inside of the organization. They don't have to focus on, building out or hiring or finding their leads or anything. They basically come in, they show up, they go through a series of onboarding steps, a series of training. We then get them on calls. And we have people within their first few days closing 4, 5, 6 sales, literally within 1, 2, or 3 days of them starting in the business. We provide all the scripts, we provide all of the leads. All they have to do is show up, have a great attitude, be willing to be coachable, and follow the core values and guiding principles of the organization, and they can come and they can start winning. And we have great mentors. We have individuals such as yourself who your team yesterday. I don't know how much your team did. Legion did 144 yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your team. What did your team perform yesterday?
I actually don't have the metric on that, but we probably contribute to like 50% of that.
Yeah. So people can come in and be part of your team build under you, build under your leadership. You give them the coaching, the guidance, the consulting. You give them everything so that they can become not only just a better sales rep, but a better person. It's just like this society that we live in just produces so much confusion. A 5-year-old has more certainty than an 18-year-old. An 18-year-old has an 18-year-old has more certainty than a 22-year-old. And as a person continues to grow up and go through this world that we live in, they end up becoming more confused. And they get into bad habits, bad advice, bad information. They come into better life. And then now all we do is we just help them rid that confusion. We're like, oh, that's bad data. Where'd you learn that? Let's strip that away. Let's give you some good data. And all of our team leaders, all of our mentors, everyone we have in the business is now operating off of senior and good data that can actually just help somebody have more clarity and direction in their life.
100%. And that's a better life effect at the end of the day. So where do you envision over the next 5 years, like better life? What's the vision? What can people expect? What do you want to create?
Yeah, better life in 5 years. In 2030, we'll be between a $12 to $15 billion company. The target currently is 2028 will be at $3.48 billion public valuation. I think we can actually go higher than that as we start to integrate some more technologies into the business. But in 3 years, we will be a $1 billion company. In 5 years, I believe that we'll cross the $10 billion mark, become a decacorn, like a unicorn.
Yeah,
but decacorn is...
I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, decacorn is when you get to 10 bill or higher.
Wow.
So I believe that Better Life can become I believe that Better Life will be a decacorn in the next 5 years.
That is insane.
Mm-hmm. And we'll create hundreds of millionaires at that point in time, and we'll have gone to served millions and millions and millions of Americans. Like the mission statement of Better Life is to deliver life improvement solutions for Americans to grow, succeed, and achieve a brighter future. And that's both for the people that work inside of the organization and represent Better Life, and it's for the end consumer, the beneficiary, who most of the time is just on the wrong plan, with the wrong person, with a company that doesn't care, with a company that just wants a commission, with a company that's just trying to earn revenue and not actually looking at them as a family that really needs their health needs covered. Other companies look at them as like, you're a number on a spreadsheet and you're just revenue and we don't care about anything. We just care about getting you on our books. We're here and we're actually like, okay, we actually care about this person. So when we can't help somebody, we can't, sometimes people are on the best plan, but 90% of the time, most people are on the wrong plan. Yeah. And the health advisors that helped them prior just don't care enough to call them and help them upgrade into something better. That's what sets Better Life apart.
Yeah, 100%. The intentionality behind how we serve and we take care of our people. So
it's all about serving.
100%. And so is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience that maybe we haven't touched up on? Anything that maybe is on your mind or your heart that you'd like to communicate here with the audience?
If I have one thing to share with the audience, I'd say, like my last words on this podcast. Thank you so much for having me, by the way.
Absolutely.
This was great. You're a great interviewer.
Thank you.
The last thing that I would say to end this off is, and these are really kind of like my last words of advice on this podcast. Surround yourself with people that are going where you're going, not where you are. Cut out the negative people from your life. Anyone who is not supporting you in the goals and the visions that you have, get rid of them. Put your future first and prioritize the future. Don't worry about the now. Don't worry about today. Put your attention on building a better and bigger future for yourself. Take care of your health, take care of your body, take care of your mind, take care of your spirit, because you can be rich in money but poor in everything else, and that is a awful place to be. And surround yourself with winners and you'll become a winner too.
Absolutely. And so for the people that want to follow your journey, where can they find you?
So on Instagram, my handle is @FalahTheLeader. We are going to be changing that. We're going to be starting a new account. Actually, we're going to go from scratch. We had some asshole send some fake followers to me a long time ago, and it's just botched my account. So right now we have a new one that we're about to launch. It's called @TheRealMoe Falah. On YouTube, it's @Moe Falah. We're going to start putting up more stuff out there. But the best place to find me right now is @FalahTheLeader and @TeamBLFG. Follow along everything Better Life. We're we're taking this thing to the moon, and we're taking really great people with us.
Yes, sir. And guys, if you're interested in joining Better Life Financial Group, our company, our culture, our vision, you want to be around winners, as Mo was mentioning, and people that are really going to bring out the best in you to help you grow to your best and high self. We host opportunity calls every single Wednesday and Saturday explaining who we're looking for, how you can play a role within the organization, and how you can get started to join this incredible company that we're building here today. So I'll drop a link in the description below. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, got value from it. If you did, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow Mo, follow myself, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Yeah.